Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us again on the Move podcast. My name's Scotty Carlisle. I'm your host, and today is, every time I say it's a very special guest. And it is, because everybody out here is special in their own way. But today's extra special. My last podcast was extra special, too, because it was my wife, right? And then we were talking about
I saw that one.
Sage's story. You did?
No, I saw a little bit of it.
Okay. So, well, that was obviously very special to me, too, right? But you're up there, dude, because I don't even know where to begin with this. But this is he was like my brother, my friend that me and him were very, very, very close, and unfortunately we all lost him. And Jarod Orta, he's like my brother, and today we are going to talk to his son, you're like not my son, but you're kind of like my son. You know, your hair is a little prettier than mine, but your dad had pretty hair too, so. But either way, I wanted to talk to him because, and this is Jarod. So Jarod is quite the character. He's got quite an interesting situation, and I just wanted to talk to him because, a lot of times in life, people have certain attitudes that are catchy, that you talk to them and they just they rub off on you. They have a positive attitude, or they're just cool about certain things, and Jarod is one of them. So I wanted to get him on camera so we could talk about it, and I just wanted to ask him some questions and then figure out how he handles some of the things in his life. And I want to start. So Jarod, you want to introduce yourself?
You kind of
that would probably be right here.
My name's Jarod. What else do you want me to say?
What else you want to say? Who are you? What do you do? What's your? You have any thing in life about that? What interests you?
Making money.
Yeah. Doing what?
I don't know, but Dad always wanted money. So, by any means possible, I guess.
Yeah. That gets you in trouble sometimes. It did him. But you also learn a lot from that as well. Mm-hmm. So me and him had probably like 3 to 17 business ventures that we did, because we're all both hyperactive, and he was a very high energy person, and obviously I have been at certain times too. So me and him together, it was like, like pew 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 pew, and there was always a lot of energy, and then usually it'd be followed by some stupid activities, like doing things that were that we have good stories about. But anyway, so let me do this. The last conversation, because part of this is me and you talking, right? Because when we talk about your dad, I want to, you have something that you can listen to or whatever, because I have stories about your dad. and like when my dad passed away, people that shared stories of him, I keep in close regard because they're my connection to him.
No, I agree, me too.
So I want to start with, a lot of times we get bad news in life. And so how old were you when you found out what had happened?
I was 10.
And how did that happen? Like, what was the situation?
It was just like any other day. I felt something different, but I couldn't tell what it was. And then Lupita, she called my mom, and then she ended up telling Grandpa and Grandma, or maybe it was an email, but they just didn't know how to tell me. So I think it was my mom that told me, but I kind of just broke down crying immediately, like any 10-year-old would. Because it was just at the age where I was starting to learn what death was. And then just ran to my room and cried for a while. The next day it was kind of still just denial, and I went through denial a lot. Then I ended up actually getting an Xbox that year for Christmas. I threw myself into that big time. It's just like go to school, come home, straight to the Xbox. Get on that. To release most of my rage, I guess. I don't know.
Did you become a good gamer? Like, what was your game?
Mainly just first-person shooters. I mean, I got fat, obviously. So, I kind of traumatized by video games, so I try not to play them as much.
You got traumatized by video games?
No, just because I got fat.
Oh.
You
got fat because all you did was do that, and then...
threw my, 4 years of my life away doing it.
So what happened? How come you got unfat? Because obviously you're not fat anymore. Now,
More
me,
trauma.
it's a different story. Huh?
More trauma.
You like what?
Well, last year on my 18th birthday, Grandpa died. I had to take both of them to the hospital. I wasn't eating well, at least, for about a good 3 months. It wasn't my first time losing a father figure. So it was a little bit easier the second time around. It didn't take 4 years, more like 4 months. I still look back on it, but it's like, I look at the good memories. He was in a lot of pain, so I know he's in a better place now.
So I want to get to that. But before we get there, I want to go back to when you were 10, right?
Order.
Yeah, because one of the things that we talked about, I was really shocked. So in Mexico, you basically have to stay in the same room with him for a while his, I thought that was, over here we have a open casket, and some people have, right? But it's usually like an open casket, then closed casket, and then,
just
separate.
A few hours of the day.
Yeah, if that long, probably not even that long. But you were telling, so tell me what happened there. What was that like? I'm trying to imagine what that would be like.
Well, me and Grandma kind of just dropped everything, even though I had school. We just went anyways. I think we stayed a week down there. Took us 2 days to get down there, because flights, so we bought some flights a couple days ahead. We went down there for the funeral, stayed, I think 6-7 days. But when we got there, my uncles, todos mis tíos, they were like, they're just telling me to go in because there's a sign that said you had to be 16, maybe 14. They're like, today you're 14. They kind of just told me, be a man and go in there.
Be a man.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first walked in there?
I mean, there's a little bit of a smell. Very gloomy. Everybody's around crying, bawling their eyes out. I'm still in the denial phase. Not really crying. And then, of course, Carmen's there. She didn't stay long. And then, as the days kept going, people kept bringing more flowers and more flowers to try and hide, and mask the scent of the body. That makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense, but the body was in the room with you.
Yeah.
The whole time.
So it was just it was a room with a bunch of chairs all around the edges, and then, a casket in the very front corner-ish thing.
And he's just in the casket.
Open the top half is open, and there's a piece of glass. And he's sewn up by the chin right here,
and you had said that, but you could also see below too?
That wasn't until after the 3 days were up and they went to the, I don't know where it was. I think it was maybe the morgue or wherever they burned the bodies. But they transported the body in, then we met them there. Took a few hours. But then once it was all done, they, or before they did, they opened him up, and they didn't do it in front of us, obviously, but we gave him the clothes that, we would have thought he wanted to be, cremated in. His favorite pair of jeans, his favorite boots, rattlesnake skin. You remember those?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that was his favorite.
He had his hat on and everything. It was that salmon pink shirt. salmon pink. But yeah, I know they opened the bottom half of the casket and like his feet were, I wouldn't say tangled up, but they were like, you know, they didn't look normal, like look like a
Like feet
prop.
would.
Like a prop, you know, like one of those dummies. But yeah, no, like the second they opened it, it was just like a. In cartoons, you see like that little green stench.
Like emanating out of the thing.
Yeah, it's like get hit by that. It was.
And you can probably still smell it.
It's like anytime I smell anything even close to resembling it, it's just like it brings immediate flashbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it flashbacks, but like, you know, I definitely go back and think on it.
Right. Your smell is very close to your memory. I was 26 when my dad died, and I flew down there, and we were standing at the park on the other side of the street. He had been in for like a week, right? And they opened the door. Again, we're across the street, right? And the smell was really strong back then. But you know, for anybody that's listening, like just take a second and imagine what it would be like for you to sit in the room with the loved one for 3 days. You know, that's not something that we do here. That's not something I ever even imagined. But, you know, I'm not saying anything's wrong with it because that's part of the culture, right? So you do what the culture does. The point and the reason I wanted to talk about it or just bring it up is because we don't realize how spoiled we are in certain ways, right? How life in the United States is like winning the lottery. If you wake up and you're in the United States somewhere, man, give yourself a high five because you're lucky mofo, right? If you wake up and you're in California, well, that goes both ways. Like, you're lucky and unlucky. But you're really lucky because, like, look around. You know, the thing about California is there's enough stuff out there that you could focus on something negative if you wanted. There's negative shit everywhere you look. But there's also positive shit everywhere you look. So there's both good and bad and as much of it as you want. So, but out here, we're lucky. And again, it's these little things that we don't realize. But when you sit and think about it, I feel like most people will be like, damn, I'm lucky. You know, I've never, like, I lost a loved one, but I didn't have to sit in the room with him for 3 days or her for 3 days and figure out, you know, and like day 2, you know, what's going through your head? What are you thinking? Or is it just you're connecting with family? So it's not like, what was that like?
I mean, it was just kind of like it's most of it's a blur because I was so young, but you know, I remember him calling me the night, I think it was the night he died. He just got done partying. He was drunk as fuck. You know the crying calls he gives. You know,
the Buchanans.
He loved Buchanans, but no, he called me and it was normal, so I wasn't like worried or anything, think anything about it at the time. But he did say some things that, like, after the fact did kind of raise red flags. But
like what?
I don't know, it was just like the way he would say, like, I love you, like it was the last time. But the craziest part was that he actually died, same spot his dad died. Same road. Just on the second floor.
What?
Because, like, so it's a road, but it has another road on top of it. And he died, like, right where his dad died, but above.
I did not know that.
And his dad died when he was 10. Maybe 9. I don't know. He was young, though.
Yeah, he was young. Thought it was even younger than that. But
it might have been 5. I can't remember.
Yeah, I was thinking 5 or 6. But still, like... And do you know how his dad died?
I'm not entirely sure, but I think he ran into, like, a wall. And I don't know what exactly happened, if it was another drunk driver, if he was drunk or what. because abuela doesn't really talk about it. I never really asked
Abuela
that.
is your grandma?
Yeah.
So, for us non-Spanish speakers. Like, I know it, but...
Yeah, my bad.
So after that, you come back out here, drown yourself in PlayStation or what was it?
Xbox.
The Xbox, right? And then you got probably pretty damn good, but then you got pretty damn fat too. What did you, like, did people give you shit about being fat, or how, what, or are you just looking at yourself and you're like...
throughout middle school, obviously, because that's just middle school.
Mm.
Everybody's calling everybody fat. Everybody's bullying everybody.
So now you're like, you don't eat unless you have to eat. Unless you're hungry, you're like, because every time you eat, is it like trick you back like, I'm going to get fat again? Is that what it is?
That, and I was on Adderall for a while.
Ah.
So that messed up with my eating a whole bunch too. Messed up with my appetite a lot, mainly. And that's the main reason I smoke, is for my insomnia and my eating disorders.
So you say eating disorders, like plural.
I don't know which ones I got, so.
You just know that there's some issues with eating. So
Yeah.
there's probably diagnosis of like, okay, that makes sense. That's logical.
If I go to a doctor for it, all they're going to do is give me more pills. Like,
yeah.
I'll try to stray away from pills.
That's smart.
Just in general. Even
Why?
if they're prescribed.
But why?
I was just seeing what they can do.
In what way?
I've had friends die from Xanax.
You have friends die.
Well, just one.
Okay.
But
They just overdosed, or what happened?
yeah. Him and his girlfriend had like some sort of suicide pact, and like, I don't know. He's the only one that went through with it. Like, she got saved or something. She lived to tell the tale.
They were basically gonna commit suicide together and then like meet up on the other side.
I guess. I don't know.
Holy moly,
It was just...
bro, that's crazy. How old were they when this happened?
I was a freshman. It was like just some dude in my friend group.
15-year-old.
Yeah, something like that.
Dang, man.
No, he was older than me. He was like a sophomore or junior. And I was a freshman.
So the way that you're talking about things, you're definitely, as a survival mechanism, you figured out how to roll with it, right? Because you had no choice.
Isn't there a thing they say in the military? It's all like,
Yeah, they say that all the time. No, I do.
I can't remember it. I'll think of it later.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of things that you say in the military to, it's a lot of it's mindset stuff, right? Because if you're a soldier, you got to be prepared to give your life.
It's have a plan A and then have a plan B, because plan A most likely won't work.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's true though. It's true. But that's with everything in life. But okay, but my question is, when you're middle school, you're getting bullying other people, whatever, everybody's bullying everybody, like you said, which I think is pretty funny. It is true, right? Some people that have been bullied, they grow up and they have serious issues, like, for the rest of their life from being bullied. So it's funny when you're like, everybody's bullying everybody. Because we get bullied, and then we find somebody, and then we just pass that along, right? But what was it? Was there something specific that happened when you're like, no more? Like, I'm gonna buck up, I'm gonna lose some weight, I'm gonna,
See, I had started losing weight slowly, but I wasn't actually physically, like, going out and trying to. It was just happening. I was being more active, and then Grandpa died, and that's kind of when, like, it kind of hit. Because I was laying, like, the first few days, I was just laying around doing nothing. I was like, you know what, this is pointless. I'm not going to do this shit again. I'm not going to let that slow me down.
Okay, now you're in Kentucky, right? So you're 10, this happens, you're living with your grandparents, right? Now, let's talk about the relationship with your mom. Now, I don't know what you want to talk about, what you don't want to talk about, but, because it is what it is. People have situations, and sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're not. But tell me about your relationship with your mom.
I mean, at first it was good. You know, it was mom and dad got divorced like 2 weeks before I was born. So I was living in two different houses in Vegas. One was completely English, one was completely Spanish. I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody in my family, I don't know if it was my dad or who, but I think it was my dad that told me. He said that I didn't talk till I was like 3. And then one day I just started speaking Spanish. And then the next day I just started speaking fluent English. It was just like...
How was it? How was it? You're 10 years old. You're coming back here. You're playing video games. But at the time, you're living with your grandparents, right? So how was your relationship with your mom?
I mean, you know, it was here and there. She was constantly bailing. You know, like tell me she'd be there and then not come, you know. Found her meth kit a few times.
And how did you know what it was? Or did you know what it was?
At the time, no. But then as I got older and kept seeing it, I kind of realized and connected the dots. Because anytime I'd be like, what's this? She'd be like, oh, shit. You know? Yeah, and then we kept, like after dad died, I was really irritable, you know? And that went on for a while, but she just kept doing stuff to, I don't know, but,
Did you guys talk on a regular basis, or was just here like
it was
a week today, you know? Or
I mean,
like...
I didn't really have a phone at the time, so it was just like anytime she came over, and then grandma and grandpa tell me, oh, she can't make it, or, you know, me calling on the home phone.
Did they have very many, like, did they fight about her, or was that a source of any of their issues?
They were always fighting, so, like, the whole family was. It was either grandpa and grandma fighting, or mom and grandpa fighting, or mom and grandma fighting.
I mean, that's life. We all go through that shit, and, you know, your family is family.
Yeah, and then, I think I started smoking weed, end of 8th grade. And then, I hid that for a little bit, and then...
At that time, you were overweight?
Yeah, I was already overweight at that point. And the main reason I started was because there was one kid in my class, and it was like the only kid I knew at that school that even, like, knew about that stuff. Because his mom let him. So, and then my mom found out, and then she gave me shit about it for a little bit. And then realized it's not that bad, because I'm, you know, it's not doing that bad of shit to me. I mean, I remember one time, I don't even remember what we fought about, but I told her she was dead to me. I didn't talk to her for like a straight, almost half a year, I think. And she'd come to the house every Friday and sit there and try to talk to me, and I just ignore her like she wasn't there.
Because she was supposed to come and meet you, and she never showed up or something?
No, it was something bigger than that. Because I know anytime, because I was used to that. I was used to getting let down, because Dad did that all the time too.
When I grew up, my dad was on, he had prescription drugs, and like he had fell off a 3.5-story building and was like taking a bunch of meds, right? And then he disappeared for a while, and then, you know, I had a bunch of broken promises too. And that was just by my dad. My mom was there. But I know the suffering that it caused when you're a kid and your emotions, like, you get excited about stuff and you're like wanting to, yeah, and then you just like play it all out in your mind, and this is gonna happen, and then you're like, this is it, and then when it doesn't, it's like hard for you to like readjust, but then you have to, and it's very it sucks. But it also it forces you to create mechanisms in your life that you are able to deal with traumatic situations. Like right now, me and you are talking about some traumatic shit. You are talking about it like, right? So your survival instinct is strong, is good, right? You got that. And now there's going to be other repercussions that this survival instinct gets you out of here, and it's going to put you slap dab in the middle of shit over there. For sure that's going to happen, but it's life, man. And then again, we just keep on moving. But what I found in my life is that if we can harness that survival instinct and we can direct it in a way that's going to help others, it's liberating. That's the secret. That's the secret in my life, where I found that I can deal with myself. I can deal with the reconciling of, the traumatic situations that I was in when I was a kid,
You see, that was my problem as a kid, is I always cared what others cared first. And I never really put myself as a priority. Now that I have, I do feel a lot happier.
About taking yourself as first priority, you mean?
Not just as first priority, just, like thinking about myself more, saying no more often.
So, when did you move to Kentucky? How old were you?
Like 15, 16.
15, 16. And then your mom would she go over to Kentucky too, or
she went over once, and then when she went back, she got arrested for selling to an undercover cop and confidential informant. She did 3 years. She just recently got out. She's in a halfway house in Louisville, Kentucky. She got a gun pulled on her the other day out there, but it's besides the topic.
I mean, that's interesting.
But before I moved, she was actually had this boyfriend, and they were drug tested. Her grandma and grandpa were drug testing me at the time because they'd found out I had smoked weed, and I might have been growing a plant or two in my closet. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But the cops got there and they didn't find anything, so.
Yeah, so it wasn't, if it wasn't
happened.
there, it never happened.
But yeah, and so I started getting drug tested after that, and Grandma and Grandpa were home one day, and Mom and her boyfriend, Emmett, were. And he was some dude from, I don't know, Alabama or some country bumfuck shit. He was like in the military, big time military dude. And this, when I say big time military dude, I mean like he had, it wasn't a Humvee, but it was like those trucks that are like half tank, half truck.
Oh wow.
And he was in the middle of rebuilding it. I mean, this man had grenades, just tons. And so, but she was gonna end up moving out with him to like South Carolina. And that definitely caused a big, because, she was leaving me for her stupid ass boyfriend. But, they were at the house and it was about to be a few weeks, so she left. And they were drug testing me. They told Grandma told them to drug test me. And if I didn't, they were going to take my phone. Well, I told them I wasn't going to drug test as soon as they asked me to. And they were like, okay, we'll go get us your phone. And I was like, no, you're not, like, you're my mom, but you've never actually been there for me, not for a 5 minutes at least. And now you're threatening to leave, like, you're not my mom. And then I kept, like, saying no. And her boyfriend was we had a renter at the time. He lived downstairs. He was up there because he was doing laundry, switching it over, and he was up there. And Emmett is just sitting there staring at me, and he tells Ryan, the renter, to pass him the zip ties.
As he's staring at you to try to, like, intimidate you or something?
Yeah, like, and he was about to put me in zip ties. I was like, all right, chill out. We'll go get my phone. It's in my room. It was in my pocket, but I went to my room, hopped out the window, ran into the Yeah, Escondido, it's all
That's
mountains.
smart, dude. Thinking on your feet.
Yeah, I was only like, I don't know how old that was. I was probably 13, 14, but ran out the window. No, I wasn't 13, 14, because I wasn't even smoking then. I was like 15, 16. I ran into the, like, you know, the brush in California, right? There's like all the dead brush, and then there's the rocks, and, well, there's this one rock that, like, had like a tunnel into it. I was gonna hide in there in case they decided to call a helicopter or some shit, you know, they ain't gonna find me. Because thermals ain't going through a rock.
Right.
So I did that, and I'm sitting there sticking out with my phone, and they end up calling me, and they're like, please come back, we don't want to have to call a helicopter, this, and this, and that. It'll be expensive. And so then I started feeling bad, and I was like, I mean, they could just not call a fucking helicopter, but I know they're not going to do that. So I go back up, and I told them I wasn't going to go back up until Grandma and Grandpa were back home. And they got back home, and I went back up, and then I drug tested for them, just not for the other two, you know? And I tested clean. It was just like, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like you.
I don't blame you.
You know, and then there was like a pretty big time I was suicidal, you know? But it was like I feel guilty, you know? I couldn't leave my sisters like that.
How old are your sisters?
The oldest sister, my oldest little sister is 7 years younger. The other one's 8 years younger. I'm 18, so they're like 11 and 12.
Do you have a good relationship with them? You talk to them a lot?
Yeah. But you know, I couldn't leave them. So, like, I was self-harming and shit.
As far as like cutting yourself?
Yeah,
Or
I was cutting myself. And I told Grandma, and she actually ended up telling me, she said, fuck, what'd she say? She said, stop being such a little bitch. Just because your dad died doesn't mean you get to kill yourself or some shit. Go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that's what your grandma said?
Yeah, some shit like that. You know, and then I was like, what the fuck? So I just like got up and left and took a walk. And next thing you know, like, I hear cop sirens. And she ended up calling like not the suicide hotline, but the people that deal with kids, you know? I ran into the brush again for that one. And they threatened to call in a helicopter. I came out again, they put me in cuffs. I sat in the back of a cop car in the blaring sun for like 45 minutes while Grandma sat there and talked her ass off with the cop.
How old were you then?
14 probably.
Do you feel like you're in a therapy session? I feel like
No, because I'm being a lot more willing than I was if I was in therapy, because I don't talk in therapy.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it. It's just never worked for me. I've had to be in it since I was like 7 or 8. You know, and I remember Dad going to therapy sessions with me. And so it's just always been something I've threaded.
Been of having aversion to.
And it's never really done anything for me. I've learned more stuff out of life lessons than they could ever teach me, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like I keep asking you all these questions, but again, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of like with your attitude and the things that have happened, and then other people listening to it that could possibly be in a similar situation, right?
No, I came in knowing that this was going to happen.
Yeah. That's why I was asking you, is there anything you don't want to talk about, or, you know, because you're 18, man, and that means you're a grown man, but you were a grown man way before 18, right? From the situations that you've been, that you've had to deal with. And so...
And I had an amazing 18th birthday.
So now, that's the... Fuck. Right? There's no other word. Like, that word is the only word that fits in that scenario, because you're now 18, or you're turning 18, but up until 18, your grandma was sick, or like, what was the situation because they were both sick at a certain period, right? Or
they both got sick at the same time. Grandpa had been sick for a long, like 14 years. he had this thing. It was just underlying, and to come back, go away, come back, go away. They treat it, come back, go away. They both got the flu or something. Grandma was extremely dehydrated. Her toes were purple. You know, she couldn't remember the last thing he told her. Grandpa, and he just, you know, he just looked like shit. Like, he couldn't move. He was taking it like a champ because he lived through pain his entire life. Like, constant pain, because he had this wound on his ankle that would just open up and close back and open. And...
Oh, damn. Like a diabetic ulcer or something like that? Or?
No, it was MRSA.
Oh, MRSA. Yeah, that is painful stuff.
Yeah, MRSA. And then he has had hemochromatosis, so, like, pretty much made him narcoleptic.
So that's something about his blood? Like
it's either too much iron in his blood or something.
Iron, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up taking him because he said he was going to send up an appointment, forgot to. I was like, all right, well, we can't wait any longer. You got to go. So I took him to the ER. And he's like, oh, no, I'm fine. Go have your dinner, you know, because he's invited me to Buffalo Wild Wings. He gave me money. He's like, go have your dinner. I was like, okay.
Your 18th birthday.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, you know, I was just trying to have fun. Mom calls me saying that Grandma's being delusional, saying that, like, Grandpa went to the store with my best friend Jeremiah, but in reality, Jeremiah was driving him to the hospital, and she didn't even know where I was, even though I was the one that went in there and told her. And so then I had to turn around, go back. I wasn't driving at the time because I had my license suspended for bad grades.
Don't.
Some stupid ass Kentucky rule. If you get bad grades, you
Really, the state does it. If you get bad grades, they take away your license. The state. Okay. Interesting.
Yep. It's no pass, no drive law or something like that. But it's and then so I ended up going back home, picking her up, and I had to like help her get her dressed and cleaned up because she had diarrhea. Like, she couldn't control it either, so I had to help her clean herself up and shit. And I ended up taking her, put her in a wheelchair, and we're sitting there, like, you know, checking her in. I was telling her all her symptoms and stuff so they could get her back there faster. And she's just completely out of it. And then next thing you know, Grandpa's getting rolled past us, and his head's, like, you know, on his side, on his shoulder. And I think his eyes were open. Yeah, they were open. No, they were closed. Yeah, they were closed. Because I remember thinking, if he's not dead, he's brain dead. Because who knows how long he's been sitting there with that oxygen. And on top of that, he had, where you stop breathing in your sleep.
Apnea.
Sleep apnea, yeah. And so, like, it was either he was brain dead or dead. And Grandma reached out and touched him, and he felt cold. That's the only thing she remembers about those whole, like, 4 weeks. Everything else is a blur, other than touching her husband and his cold skin.
Yeah, I mean, we can only imagine what that would be like, right? How long were they married for?
They got married at like 19. So, almost 50 years, I think. Maybe more.
And on your birthday.
Yeah.
That's...
So they pull him into the triage room, and they're like saying he's not responsive, and I was like, yo, what's going on? Trying to get into the back, and they push me out, and they rush him to the back. And I was like, well, I gotta get her signed in. So I was like, you know, I can't deal with that right now. I gotta get her in there too. So I'm sitting there trying to get all this shit done while worrying about him. The girls, both my sisters are sitting out in the car with my best friend Jeremiah. And she gets in, then they end up taking me to the silent room, which is like you know what that is, right?
A silent room?
It's what they call it. They just ask you, they'll tell you, hey, we want to see you in the this room right here. We want you to sign some papers, but it's not just to sign papers, it's to tell you that they're dead.
Oh.
So you just sit in a quiet-ass room for like 40 minutes until they get the chance to come tell you he's dead and sign a bunch of... Actually, no, they came in there, made me sign a bunch of, like, authorizations, permission to have surgery and stuff and all that.
For your grandpa or for your grandma?
For both of them. But Grandpa was already dead back there. And so we went into like a whole thing with the hospital, and then it was like we couldn't sue them or something. But yeah, and then I ended up going back there, seeing him. I was the only person that got to actually, like, you know, see him dead, because right after that he got cremated, and Grandma stayed in the hospital for about a week after that in the ICU.
She was probably beside herself too. Like, did she have any inkling that was coming, or was it like out of nowhere?
It was out of nowhere. They both didn't see it. I didn't see it. And then, you know, Mom was freaking out, saying, "Oh, they're not good, they're not good." But she did that every single time. They got sick, you know. So it was just Mom being Mom.
Now at that time, were you driving your motorcycle? Did you have a transportation, or was that?
I did, yeah, but I didn't have a plate, license, or registration, or insurance. That's the whole reason I got in that police chase.
Ha! Okay, so now we're coming to the next chapter. So tell me how this happened.
It was 2 days before my 18th birthday.
So, oh shit. Okay, so 2 days before.
December
dude,
3rd.
this is so crazy.
I was going on a main street. It's a tiny, tiny little town. There's one stop sign through the entire town. Not even a light. It's a sign.
Small.
Yeah. And so I go out there. I'm just trying to buy some Fruity Pebbles, you know? And cop comes around the corner as I, like, left the stop sign, and he flashes me once. And I was like, what? Why aren't your lights still on? You didn't turn around or come after me or anything. So I went back around the Family Dollar, the back road, and turned around and tried to go back through where I came from. That was not smart. He was sitting there waiting for me at that stop sign. So I passed. He lit me up. And he said, I didn't even let him get the chance to come talk to me. I was just like, there's a car in front of me and there's a car in another lane over there coming this way, because there's one lane. And so I just slow down, I pretend like I'm stopping, and I book it, drop a gear, swerve in between those two cars, and go back down in the back roads. I'm just sitting there like coasting, doing like 60 in the back roads, because they're too twisty to be going any faster than that. I just see like blue lights everywhere, because it was like, I don't know, 6, 7 at night, so it's already dark. And then once I hit the straightaway, I'm hauling ass. I had a friend that was on the police scanner at the time, and they said that they clocked me doing 137. And then I pretty much lost them on that straightaway, and there was a turn in the road. It was either you go this way and stay on the same road, or you turn that way and go on a different road. Well, I stayed on the same road. They had it blocked off, so I tried to turn around, but I was in like 4th gear when I turned the bike around. So when I tried taking off, it stalled. So I had to put that bitch back in neutral, and then start it back up again, and then take off again. And once it started taking off again, the other dude came around and turned diagonally and blocked me off, and about hit me with his the ram bar. And then he comes out the car, finger on the trigger and everything, right at my head, saying, "Get on the ground." I was like, "Shit, Joe, let me put the kickstand down first," And I was sitting there with my hands, I was trying to take the key out real slow. They ended up impounding the bike, and then, but that road, it all got blocked off, so it was all backed up. And in those cars, Grandpa had went to go buy a quad, and he was among those cars that passed, and he just passed with me with my face in the dirt and handcuffs, and I'm just sitting there looking at him, smiling like, fuck, I can't believe he's here.
Dang.
And I tried telling the cops, I was like, "Yo, that's my grandpa. Like,
yeah.
And I was a minor, and they were like, "No." And it was fucked. And they tried their hardest. They took me to the police station. I waited there for like 4 or 5 hours, and they just sat there trying to get all the court-designated workers to try me as an adult. But it was 2 days before my birthday, and they tried their asses off, but they could not. So I ended up getting away with like 40 hours of community service for that. Because they dropped it down to, I think, just the 2 wanton endangerments, 2 felonies. They dropped it down to just those 2 instead of like the 9 I had before that.
Those are felonies?
Wanton endangerment.
Wanton endangerment?
Yeah, it's police endangerment.
Oh.
That's what they call it out there. I mean, he wouldn't have been endangered if he just didn't chase me, but I guess not.
They don't have that same mentality, I guess.
But yeah, and then...
Okay, so that's not when you crashed, though. The crashing is a different time.
Yeah, that was right... It was the day after his memorial.
Is when you crashed.
Yeah, his memorial was
Dude,
July
because you were telling me... So I'm thinking that, like, the time frames are over here, the timeline, but it's, like, right here. It's like you get in a chase, then it gets impounded, then your 18th birthday, your grandpa dies, and then you get into the motorcycle crash?
I actually got into a car wreck right before the bike wreck.
Oh
in January.
God, dude. I don't know if I can handle it anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't driving that one, though.
Like, it sounds like bullshit, but I know your dad, and I know that I got my own story, so...
I got videos to prove it.
No, I believe you. So, okay, now, car accident?
Yeah, it was a stoplight, and we were going around, and Jeremiah, like, you know, green light is left turn, yield. Well, I guess his dumbass didn't know that or something, because they didn't have the sign posted. So he immediately thinks, oh, green, go. Starts going, can't see where the lane is, like, after the turn. So he starts hitting the brakes in the middle of the intersection. I look to my right, and I see some lights just hauling ass towards us. And then actually, boom. And we do, like, a whole 180. Car was totaled. It was, like, 6 inches from my door panel.
Damn, dude. So the car got totaled. Okay, so the car got totaled, but you guys got T-boned, basically?
Pretty much. It was his fault. Like, my friend's fault. He was driving.
Oh, dang, man. And then, but he had insurance, or did he not have insurance?
He didn't have insurance. Our van did, though. So, like, they still covered it because he had a license.
And that is when? When did you do the? When did you get?
January 26th, I think, of this year.
Okay, but when is your 18th birthday?
December 5th.
Yeah, December 5th. Okay, got it. So, but when you got into the motorcycle wreck was when?
July 29th, the day after his memorial. We had to wait like 6 months for the memorial because they took so long in giving us a death certificate and the ashes and all that.
I heard somebody say one time that, like, if you look back at the times, I think it was like an insurance guy, if you look back at the times that you've gotten tickets, there's usually something else that's bigger going on in your life, like some bad juju, or you're having a hard time in something else, and that's usually reflected in getting tickets or accidents or stuff like that. So, I mean, that would make sense. Like, what did you feel like at the memorial for your grandpa? Like, I mean, 6 months later, you have time to process, I guess. So.
I mean, not to be disrespectful or anything, but it was like a little bit boring.
Yeah.
I mean, they just...
You didn't have any emotions that were like...
No, it was just them pouring his ashes into the pond we have on our property, and it was just cool. I got to light fireworks. Shit ton of them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely from the survival mechanism that you've developed, right? You definitely got that shit like on lockdown. So you got a nice little box inside that you like, right? That's like I said, it's good. It's needed, right? We need that to protect our emotions and our heart and all that stuff. But then later you're gonna be like, fuck, and then that's gonna cause you some other problems. But right now it's okay because you're cool. But it's good to talk about it. So I just, like I said, man, it's interesting. I didn't know about the car accident. And then
I walked out without a scratch. The one driving, he had a, seatbelt.
The
seatbelt.
Oh, the seatbelt.
Yeah, it's all over here, up in his neck.
So July 26th, that's when that was, okay, so you had the funeral arrangement, whatever, the day after you get into the crash, so July 27th.
No, the memorial was the 28th, the wreck was the 29th.
Oh, got it. So basically right before August. So not that long ago. And then what happened with the wreck? How did you get into a crash on your motorcycle?
I went to the halfway house to see my mom, and I had got my staple out the day before. I had a staple in my head because I was at home. I was a little drunk.
Wait, you're not supposed to drink till you're 21. What are you doing?
I was in Mexico.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Mexico. But so yeah, I was drunk, and then I have a TV on that's like, you know, that pulls out. It was pulled out to the side because I don't have walls in my bedroom yet, so it's just a giant garage, no walls. Because I live in the garage. We have like a separated shop. And so I stood up and I hit my head. Like when I looked up, it was with me standing up and me looking back.
Oh yeah, so both.
It like slid it, and it was sitting there gushing blood. I got a picture of me just sitting there in the hospital with a paper towel on my head and just blood dripping down my nose.
Memories.
But yeah, I went ahead and drove myself to the ER to get my staple pulled out. They told me to wait 7 to 10 days to get it pulled out. I waited 4.
Okay, well, you heal fast, so.
But that's what I was thinking. I was like, you know, I don't got a concussion. They didn't tell me I have a concussion. So I got there just fine, and then on the way back, it was just, I was out of it. I wasn't there. You know, it was just kind of like I'm there, but I'm not paying attention.
You're like in a game in your head?
White
almost.
stage.
White stage?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Never heard of that.
It's just like, there's different stages of running, you know? There's like the red and orange and...
different stages of what?
Like...
Running?
Riding.
Oh, riding. Yeah, okay.
And white stage is just like, not focused. No, I just wasn't focused, and I went around that corner and all the cars were there and didn't have enough time to react. Tried laying the bike down to like hopefully lane split in between them, but I just couldn't, and I ended up hitting the right tail light. My hand slammed into like the car, I guess, and then it kicked me off. Did a front flip, landed on my ass, slid on my ass for about 2 lanes at like a 45-degree angle, and then once I hit those you know those rivets in the side of the road?
Mm-hmm.
Once my heels hit that, it like flipped me
Popped
up.
you up.
Yeah. And so I remember walking around, my hand was right here and I couldn't move it, but it felt like I was getting arrested. You know, my arm was back here. That's what it felt like.
Oh wow.
This arm I really wasn't worried about. It didn't look as bad. And I looked down at my leg and I had some gray socks on, and it's just a big red slit in there. And I had brand new Air Forces on, and they just got soaked in blood. And they had to cut those off. Some semi-truck driver blocked the freeway off, and he comes up to me and I was like, hey, can you please take this off? My helmet, because I felt like I was drowning. My AirPods fall out onto the ground. And then they end up laying me down. And I was like, can I get some water? And they got me some water, and then the ambulance comes and they're like, stop drinking water. I felt like I was dying, you know? Because my mouth was dry as shit.
Yeah,
all that adrenaline.
All the adrenaline, and you don't know what kind of damage you did internally, right? Because you're
90-degree weather and a black hoodie.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to get sunburned.
Damn.
And then get into the ambulance. They give me some ketamine. As soon as I get to the hospital, I start waking up while they're making my temporary splints out of plaster. And so like it was like I'd wake up for a quick second and then like, you know, can't see anymore. But I could feel them still like moving my arms around and stuff. And then I started to wake up in the CAT scan. It was like all white. And I just remember like thinking, am I dying? I was trying to say it, but I couldn't feel my lips moving. But I could hear it. So I didn't know if I was actually saying it or not. And I asked the people there they were doing the CAT scan if I was dead, like good 10 times. And then they after that they rolled me out, and you know those they're like half a globe, but they're mirrors, and they put them on the hospital ceilings so they can see around corners.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They parked me right under one of those, and that was a trip.
After because you're on ketamine.
Yeah, the ketamine was still wearing off, and I'm sitting there, eyes wide open, and the nurses are sitting next to me on their computers, and they're just sitting there making fun of me, saying he's hard off the ket, and I was like, can't move, and I'm just sitting there staring at that big bulb thing, and I was like, whoa.
Damn. Was it like a cartoon almost? Like
like
it was unreal or
you know
what?
when you zoom out of Earth and it gets small?
Uh-huh.
It felt like that.
Like that? Like you're like in the dark space over here and you could just see from in the distance?
It was just kind of tunnel visioned on that thing. And then I was in a neck brace and all that, and it wasn't scary, but it was like, I woke up and I was restricted. It wasn't like claustrophobia.
That's never fun.
But it was like, get this shit off me. It's not comfy. I'm not. I was walking around just a second ago. I'm fine.
Damn, dude. And then what happened? You were picked up. Like, did your grandma pick you up from the hospital, or how'd you get back home?
No, my girlfriend at the time ended up meeting me there.
Okay, so that's good. You had a girlfriend then.
Yeah, and then she was there, but I stayed in the ER room for one night. They sewed me all up. That wasn't fun.
You were awake and like they did like
No, these happened while I was under. They were doing like all the surface cuts, like this one on my hand, or the two on my knee, or the one on my ankle. I was still in like splints, and they hadn't operated yet. They were just holding my hands together, keeping things from moving around in there, and they had me on Dilaudid.
Oh, that's the good stuff, huh?
Yeah, I asked for morphine, but they're like, no, we can give you Dilaudid.
Dilaudid makes you happier than morphine, though. I mean, I've heard stories.
I don't know. I had morphine in Vegas for my appendix, and it was pretty fun.
And yeah, but your appendix did burst or it didn't?
It didn't, but it was.
But they took it out, right?
Yeah.
You just had a sharp pain, and you're like, "Ugh," and then, yeah.
But no, they and then like after they sewed me all up and stuff. Actually, no, I hadn't been sewn up yet. I still had the wrap, the initial wrap, where they just shoved gauze in my ankle and then wrapped it real tight. I had bled through all of that wrap, and it was like the wraps, they're like, this long. So it definitely soaked that wrap. It was sitting there dripping on the ground, and then I walked to the bathroom because they finally let me, and I couldn't piss. So then I had to get a catheter. That was not fun.
Yeah, that's traumatic.
That was probably the worst part out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That or the fact that I didn't shit for like a week and a half because of the Norcos.
Oh, right. Everything has side effects. And then when you did it like, you're probably like, ah, Jesus!
No, not really.
Did you turn religious?
Didn't hurt that bad. Not even the hands hurt that bad. But
No, that's good. That's good. So, do you have any religion? Do you have any like?
More agnostic than anything.
Yeah. So you don't know. But you're not saying there's not, but you're not saying there is, because you just don't know, basically.
More like I have to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
Like I got raised in the Catholic culture, so I still have a little bit of that in me.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's not as deep rooted as it used to be.
Yep. I think one of the things that, if you have a tight family thing that you guys have a certain practice, and you look up to somebody that is pushing that thing forward, then you're more inclined to go and believe and have faith and follow the leader kind of thing. But if your family doesn't necessarily do it, a lot of times there's too many questions, right? There's too many questions of what the hell are we doing here, and I have questions. I have more questions than answers. You know, I don't try to profess like I know anything better than anyone else, but there are certain things that are kind of hard to believe, and then other things that sound retarded, and then other things that are profound, right? So I think a lot of it just happens to correlate with our understanding.
Yeah, but then I also got this like feeling like, you know, when I hear the word death, you know, I don't think of heaven or hell. I just think of like some black abyss where you think of nothing. You know, you don't think, you don't feel, you know, nothing. You're
just blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be eternal peace, to be honest.
Well, you're only 18, so you got lots more time to figure shit out. So.
And then, you know, my dad, did he ever tell you the accident thing? An accident's not an accident, it's just a lack of precaution.
That sounds familiar, but we were probably, I'm sure I can hear him say that, yeah, so.
Yeah, that and live every day like it's your last. Do you remember him say that?
Oh, but
that's his biggest one.
That's not what he said, that's what he did.
But he would say it to me all the time.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just saying, yeah, he said it, but he did it. He literally practiced what he preached on that, because, like, he was always, no matter what the situation, like, you would look out and see him, like, just buried in a pile of shit.
Kind of like that no bad days thing.
Yeah, like the no bad days. Yeah, and he'd be like, you know, and he'd still have a fucking smile. So those are the things that get you, or they get me, you know, like that shit gets me. Like I built, you know, the little wall and stuff, and then it was good for a long period of time. Like nothing bothered me, like in a certain way, you know. Then you know, life, you know, it beats you up as much as you can take. Oh, you want some more? Yeah, give me more. Oh, it gives you more, right? It keeps giving you more. It continue to give you as much as you want. Like, but then, you know, I think a big thing that changed in my life was when I had my son, and then it was he had a you know, a 10% chance of survival, and then there were a bunch of surgeries that he had to have, and then there was so many situations where it's like, I don't know if he's gonna live or not. I don't know if he's gonna make it. Like, it's not looking good, right? We got to have this this new medication that's an experimental drug. We don't know if it's going to work or not, but this ain't happening and it ain't working, so I don't know what else to do. Like, those situations, when it's your son, right? And then it's like, or it's somebody that you're connected to, or that you're supposed to be supporting, or you're supposed to be caring for, or you're supposed to be protecting, right? That gets you, right? And then it's like, whoa. And then it's like, please God. Please God, there's a God. There's a God, right, God? There's a God, right? Please God, you know? Because what else are you going to do? And so there are situations, you know, as you go through life, but shit, I was 37 years old when that happened, you know. There's other situations in life where I look back and I see miracles, like in my own personal situation. Like for you, I've seen from you telling me these stories, like you have a guardian angel, like you totally do. And whether you see it or don't see it, or whether what I see is the truth, like, you definitely have a guardian angel. You have something or someone or some whatever essence that is on your side and that is following you through this situation that you're in, right? It's looking out after things here. It's going to let you get your ass beat, but in the long run, it is the discernment that you will get and that you already have from that can never be learned from a book.
It can. Like my dad.
What's that?
That sounds like my dad.
Well, there's a reason me and your dad were good friends, man. Like, there's a reason. Like, we saw eye to eye on a lot of things. But anyway, but now, you know, me and you are connected, and, you know, whatever happens, you know, we're always just going to keep that. Let's just keep that communication. You know, the fact that I haven't, it's my fault. I should have tried to keep in better touch. Like, I should have, I got sidetracked in life and I just didn't. But it's, not blame or not blame, but it would have been nice to keep a better connection with you, but no time like the present. So you got my number, I got yours. Now you go back to Kentucky or whatever it is, just we'll keep in touch and then keep the connection, right?
For sure.
Like last night, trajectory. It's literally making connections with each other so you can help each other, right? Because there's people that you're going to come across in life that are in bad shape. Like, bad shape. And it's going to make you, right? But then you're going to be in a situation where you can help them. And it's because you have had to deal with all of the shit that you had to deal with in life. That is what has given you the strength that you're going to need in order to help the person that needs your help that only you can do. And you are going to know that when it comes. And so I look at these things that have happened as training, right? You've had to deal with this because you've had to go through your training. Because what you're meant to do, I don't know, you don't know. But I feel like something knows what that's meant to be. And you have to go through here because the only learning that is going to make it, that you can accomplish that,
is through failure.
It's a failure. That's right. So I'm not trying to preach, man, but I'm telling you like I see it. And I'm telling you from my own experience, because you got more challenges ahead of you. But the beauty of it is you got more learning lessons. You got more strength. You got more discernment. You got more beauty, right? There's more pain. There's more pleasure. You're going to have it all. So if you can just take what you have as learning lessons and you use that and it gives you strength in order to march forward and help. And again, that's my own situation is using that to help others. I feel like is the strongest thing that you can do in life. And so, sometimes you want to say, fuck it, fuck you, fuck everyone, right? But after you get past that and you think about it, you don't have to do that.
It's kind of when I want to like experiment with shrooms, because I feel like they could have a lot of medicinal. Because I think is it Denver? There's a place that legalized shrooms.
Yeah, I think Colorado. They were the first ones to legalize cannabis too.
Oh, it was Denver, yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother story.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's... I want to try and help people too.
Yeah. Well, that is, that's the secret to life, dude. That's the secret. That's the secret to a fulfilled life. Life, nobody fucking knows the secret. The secret to a fulfilled life is fulfill others, and as long as you're pouring into their cup, your cup is always going to be, is always going to be filled. So, but either way, I'm glad that you said that you wanted to talk about things, because it also gave me that kind of like the platform to ask you questions, right? And then really connect in a little different level. And we'll have this from now on. And so you might be looking back at this when you're 50, right? And then you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be like, damn, that little kid went through a lot of shit. So, and then, hopefully you're going to be just kicking ass and having...
Probably say he has some good hair too, but...
Yeah, for sure you'll say that. Yeah, you got some pretty good hair. Little curls and stuff. Yeah, I did back in the day too. But your dad didn't have a receding hairline. See, mine did. So my hair was real pretty for a little bit, but then, it was one of those things. It was one of those things that I lost, and then it was like, oh man, that's sad. But then I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't care. Whatever. Shave it. Keep moving. It was the source of my strength. Like the opposite of Samson. But anyway, I think that is... Well, let me ask you a question. If you saw somebody out there... How about this? you're looking back, like we're sitting in this room and you're looking, and there's a magic window right there, and you're looking through that window, and you have a moment in time where you can tell that little kid, that little Jarod, that 10-year-old sitting in the same room as his dad that he had just passed away. You have a window of about 15 seconds, right, where you can reach out and you can say something to that little kid that's sitting there. What would you tell him?
Nothing. Wouldn't change a thing. 'Cause I feel like it's just made me the person I am.
All right, guys. We're going to end on that note. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope that you listened to this and that you got something out of it, because I know I did. And I'm a blessed mofo, and I'm happy that my buddy's kid is over here and we're having this conversation. So, I hope the same for everybody out there. And if you're having a hard time, just remember there's always people that are having a harder time, and that pain is temporary, and we all ebb and flow through shit storms of life. But you try to keep a better attitude and help others, and eventually that karma always comes back, and you are learning right now what you need to know to help who you need to help. And I guess I'll leave it at that. So thank you. I love you, but I gotta leave you.